On Larry King Now, the star of the hit HBO series Girls, it's Allison Williams.
It was one of my first auditions after graduating from college, so I just felt glad that I didn't, pee my pants or start crying. I think the girls are more motivated to be proactive about growing up, and so this season is clumsy in that pursuit.
Your first kiss was 16?
Yeah.
What did Brian Williams keep you in an incubator?
No.
Plus,
I just can't believe you're getting me to talk about this.
All next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. Our special guest is the lovely and talented Allison Williams. She stars in the HBO runaway hit Girls. She's the daughter of the NBC newsman, old friend Brian Williams. This is the third season of Girls, a major hit. How'd you get this part?
I auditioned for it because I had done this YouTube video called Mad Men Theme Song with a Twist, where I took the theme song to Mad Men, that beautiful string number, and then I put Nature Boy by Nat King Cole on top of it.
I know that whole song.
Oddly enough, kind of describes Don Draper. So I put those two together. I filmed it in one take. I wore sort of 60s era clothing. And then I put it online.
You planned this out.
I really planned it. But what I could not have planned, even if I had planned everything perfectly, was that Judd Apatow saw the video and thought that there was something about my performance and my personality that seemed in the vein of Marnie, the character I now play. So he had me come audition for the part, and then
Did they give it to you right there?
No. Well, maybe in the audition I could have sensed good, that it was going in a good direction, but it was one of my first auditions after graduating from college, so I just felt glad that I didn't, pee my pants or start crying.
You always want to be an actress?
Always, yeah.
What college did you go to?
I went to Yale. I grew
Major
up
in drama?
Majored in English, actually. But I took a lot of drama classes, and I did improv comedy.
Now, critics call this show smart, funny, groundbreaking, brilliantly raw, even breakthrough. Did you know this would take off?
I certainly hoped it would, and when I read the pilot script, which was the only thing I had to read when I went into the audition, it felt to me like it was profound in its simplicity. And also Lena Dunham, who's the creator, writer, she's the star of the show, she's our director most of the time, she can write so uncannily accurately in the voice of people our age. And not just one character, but she wrote in so many different voices that sounded full and real and realized, even though they were still just on the page. And I knew then and there that she was extraordinary in some way. And I was like, it's hard for me to imagine this show being anything less than wonderful. So
is Judd hands-on?
Very, yeah. And even if he's, working on something else or if he's in California, he visits us whenever he can. And then also his DNA is in every script. He is always giving notes. He's always, sometimes even on set, one of the producers will get an email from him and say, he wants us to try one where you're acting this way or something. He's there even if he isn't.
Allison, the comparison to Sex and the City, fair?
Fair, I would say fair on paper, but I think by virtue of the show's context, the fact that it's, post-recession, it's girls in their early 20s emerging from college. Yes, it's 4 girls in New York City. One of them's a writer. It's on HBO. I certainly understand the comparison, but I think when people see the two shows side by side, even just aesthetically, they're very different. And because Lena is so unique and original, I think that nothing she does can be that similar to anything anyone else does.
It's sometimes pretty raw, right?
Yes, that is true.
You do sex scenes, right?
There are sex scenes.
Does your father get a little itchy about that?
He might. It's funny. I was really worried about that before the show started, but then, I was staying on their couch while I was shooting season 1. I was staying on the couch of their apartment in New York, and I would come home from the table read and I'd say, oh gosh, I have a scene to do. I'm kind of nervous about it. So we would talk about it, and then after I filmed it, I would talk to them about it. We're very close. And so then by the time they saw it, I obviously had over-prepared them, and I told them it was much worse than it was. So then inevitably the reaction always was, that's it? That's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So they're pretty cool about it for the most
Doing
part.
sex, Marcello Mastroianni, the late great actor, told me that you may see sex scenes on screen, but they're not fun to do. First, they're not sexy. You don't get turned on. There's 40 people standing around.
Yeah.
And you have to shoot different angles.
Oh, yeah.
True?
Very true, in every way. The best thing you could hope for in a sex scene is just someone that you laugh with, because it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thing to be doing.
Contortions,
yeah,
right?
You're a contortionist. You're in weird angles. They'll ask you to kiss on one side of the face and not the other, and it's very, very strange. So all you can hope for is that you get in fits of giggling with your co-star.
Does your dad ever come and watch you shoot?
He didn't this past season. He did maybe once or twice in the first season. My mom came the second season, every once in a while, just to say hi.
I'm told, I don't know this, that people take a rack at Miss Dunham for disrobing so frequently on girls. What do you say to that?
God, that's funny. I would say that Lena's chief endeavor is just to portray things honestly and to go into those uncomfortable moments that are not often portrayed on film and investigate those and put them on television and see how people react to it. A lot of those moments are when we're alone or when we're with one other person, and they're not very glamorous and they're not well thought out and they're not well lit, And I think in that way, her nudity is just part of the honest puzzle. It's just part of telling a story in a real way. And if people don't like that, then they don't have to watch it. But I think there is a part of all of these people who do enjoy kind of how new it is.
Have you had to do things you didn't want to do on that show?
No.
Ever have to change a line?
Oh, we change things constantly.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's a very fluid process. The scripts as they arrive are nearly perfect, but then what happens a lot on set is we'll show up and we'll rehearse the scene. And if anything happens that Lena hears and doesn't like, or if we want to play around with something, there's a lot of space to do that. It's very collaborative in that way.
Can you tell us anything that's going to happen in the third season?
Not specifically, but I can.
Can you tease us?
I can tease you with saying that I think it's, the same struggles that we've seen in the first two seasons, but there's a lot of, I think the girls are more motivated to be proactive about growing up. And so this season is clumsy in that pursuit, which is a really strange thing. But I think they're finally ready to start living their lives.
How much of it have you shot?
We're done. I know everything. I know all the secrets.
How many shows?
12. We went up from 10.
We'll be right back with Allison Williams, one of the stars of Girls. Don't go away. We're back with Allison Williams. Girls is in its third season on HBO. She's the daughter of Brian Williams. We'll talk about her father and our mutual friend. He's also your friend, right?
He's my friend.
How did you handle fame overnight?
Oh, my gosh.
Well, you're used to it in the house, right?
Well, yeah, his is a very different kind of notoriety because he is, like you come on screen and you're yourself. And people get used to seeing you at a certain time, in a certain place, in a certain context.
Or someone else.
Yeah, I'd play someone else. But the flip side of that is that people see me on the subway and they say, Marnie. And they don't think twice about it because the show is set here. It's totally conceivable that Marnie would be walking around New York City. But I think, sleeping on my parents' pull-out couch was pretty grounding, probably. But
couldn't bring the boys home, could you?
No. But I think I think my parents also made it a rule that I had to graduate from college. So in effort to kind of delay any of this, if it were to happen for me this early, until I was 22 at very least, they think that the longer you can spend in school and out of the spotlight, this kind of scrutiny, the better. I think they were right.
Some critics have pandered for being self-absorbed, the show, lack of diversity. How do you respond to it?
Well, I think any show that's provocative and new and is challenging is going to have criticism like that. Not really, because it doesn't bother Lena. If it bothered Lena, it would bother me because I always, I don't want anything to get to her. But she's so smart and she's so she has such a vision that I think, she listens to all of it and she takes it in. But what she creates is very much hers and what she was envisioning.
Did you like Tina Fey's parody?
I loved it. I've watched it so many times. It made me laugh so hard.
You worked with her, right?
I did. When I was in high school, or maybe it was after my first year of college, I was her second assistant for a summer. And it was the summer she was shooting Baby Mama and 30 Rock simultaneously. and it was an incredible privilege. She is not high maintenance enough to need 2 assistants at all, so mostly I just stood around watching her work. And
are the girls, all of you, close?
Yes.
Offset?
Yeah, we are. It's funny because we're all pretty mellow in real life, and so our ideal hangout would be in a diner or something like that. But we're really close. We love each other a lot.
How would you describe Marnie?
I think she's someone who definitely means well and wakes up every morning wanting to do her best and be her best. I think she probably still believes that she's capable of attaining perfection, and she expects that of the people around her as well. She is, she's driven probably, but she is not passionate about anything in particular, so the drive has nowhere to go.
Any boy in her life?
She had a very serious boyfriend in season 2, and the actor who played that boyfriend left the show. So she is without him in season 3.
How do they write them out? I love the way they do this.
Well, it was really impressive on the part of the writers, and I'm trying to do this without spoiling anything. Basically, they tried to come up with a very honest way of doing it.
Like in soap opeers, they disappear, they fell off a bridge.
Or they just come back and another actor has their name. We did not do that. We didn't replace him in that way, but yeah, I think you'll have to see.
Gloria Steinem praised the show and called it a feminist show. Do you consider yourself a feminist?
Yes, I do. And Gloria Steinem is one of my heroes. I love her. That's amazing. I didn't know that she had said that.
What do you, now you've done, what do you want to do? Do you want to do full screen thing? Do you want to do big screens? What do you want to do?
I want to do it all. I want to do everything. I'm really happy playing Marnie on Girls, and so anything I do, I'll be on the show as long as they'll have me, and I would love to do things in addition to that. I've always loved movies. I've grown up being in plays and watching plays, musicals, straight plays. I sing. I'd love to do more with music.
Yeah. Have you recorded?
I have. Nothing that I've ever released, but, you know, yeah, little things here and there.
Did you have... someone said to my daughter once, when she was thinking about, she changed, of course, that what your father can help you with is opening the door. But once the door's open, he can't do anything.
Right, you have to
Is
walk
that true
through
with
it.
you?
Yes, and in fact, someone said that to me too. You know, growing up in the context that your daughter and I grew up in, we're surrounded by these incredibly high-achieving people, and one of the great aspects of that is just growing up in a context where you can believe that dreams can come true, that that's possible, that if you're passionate enough about something, you can make it happen. And that, I think, was the biggest advantage I had, was just growing up with 2 parents that were very, very encouraging, but also, you know, very much about the work ethic, very much about always having a job. I've always worked, you know, earning what you get, networking, meeting people, all of that stuff. They were always proponents of that. So it was never about, you know, waiting for the connections and resting on my laurels. It was about, you know, being proactive and stuff like that.
What does your younger brother do?
My younger brother just graduated from Elon. It's a communications major, and he is a sportscaster. He works for the Yes Network and does a lot of stuff online for them.
He's on the air?
He's getting to be on the air, yeah. He's so good. I'm so proud of him. He's really, it's amazing. I mean, yeah.
We're going to take a break and talk. Was Yale equal to its reputation?
Yes.
We'll be right back with the wonderful Allison Williams. Don't go away. We're back with Allison Williams, the star, one of the stars of Girls. It's in its 3rd season. What was it like growing up Brian Williams' daughter?
Well, it was like growing up with a dad, you know. He was primarily my dad, and I don't think I fully understood what he did for a living for a long time. It's kind of hard to figure out. All of my friends' dads had jobs that were easy to describe, and my dad's job seemed sort of strange. I think it probably hit me most when we would be able to go on little vacations or trips, whenever those had to get canceled for current events, for news happening. And I grew up sort of having an awareness of what presidents were living and which ones were getting old, or, like, you know, major world leaders who were growing long in the tooth, and whether or not that was going to interfere with a vacation or something like that, which is kind of morbid. But he was such, he's just such a good dad. Both my parents were very present and attentive, and he worked so hard, and as you just mentioned, he was at MSNBC for a number of years, and those were late hours, and so I didn't really get to see him, but we wrote each other notes. And
when I got the Lifetime Achievement Award at the
Yeah.
Emmys, he was the man who presented it.
Yes, he
and
was.
Of course, he is so funny, which he shows when he guests on other shows.
Yeah.
But he has a great sense of humor.
He has an amazing sense of humor, and I think that is something that our family shares with each other. We are very, very close, and we love laughing together, and it's kept us really close. I mean, we're still, to this day, we email as a family all day, every day. I mean, we're in constant communication.
So he knows you're here right now.
He knows I'm here right now. He knows what I'm doing after this. He knows it all.
Did you ever want to do journalism?
Not for a second. In fact, I think I proclaimed my desire to be an actress before I even understood what journalism was. And then when I heard about it, I thought, that's interesting. Maybe I'll play a journalist someday. But I also kind of had this instinct to let that be his thing. And my mom was a news producer as well, so that's what.
Oh, is that where they met? Did they
Yes. Yeah, she was a producer. Now she has a radio show on Bloomberg Radio called Bloomberg EDU, and it's just about education. She's amazing.
Did you ever want to be a professional singer?
I never thought about doing just professional singing, although I think there's nothing more moving than beautiful music. I listen to it all day, every day, you know, while I'm doing things at home or while I'm walking around the city. So the idea of recording things or performing music is very appealing to me. But again, it's always been acting.
You ever ad-lib on girls?
Yes, we do it quite a bit. Sometimes weird things come out that you just cannot predict, but it's really fun, and our cast is very, very good at doing it.
Have you ever done improv?
Yes, actually, improv is my only official training. I was in an improv comedy group at Yale, and it's incredible training, not only just for acting, but also for life, to just not freak out when things don't go exactly the way you've planned them to, which to a bunch of Yale kids is a bit of a revelation. But to just pick yourself up and keep going when, you know, I don't know, when a plan changes or when something calamitous happens is a very good life skill. But also, on our set, we use improv every day. What if you drop a cup in a scene, or what if someone drops their line and you have to make up for it? I mean, improv is very, very useful.
Personal side of life.
Yes.
You have a boyfriend?
I do.
What does he do?
He is an entrepreneurial kind of guy.
You're trying to avoid me here,
A little bit,
What?
yeah.
Well, is it serious, or you don't want your parents to know yet?
No, it's serious. They are well aware. But this would be a good place to tell them if they weren't.
Okay. Do you want to have children someday?
Someday, yes, very much.
Any advice for other aspiring young actors? What do you say to people? They must ask you.
They do, and I'm always sort of at a loss. First of all, I feel like I'm just getting started. So the advice that I give them is just to watch as much as they can and learn from the people that they respect and try to read about what their process is and see what it's like. But also just to do it. Do it as much as you can. Be in plays or little movies that your friends do.
Go do everything.
Do it. And YouTube makes it such that you can make a movie for almost nothing and put it into the world. And that's what I used to sort of introduce myself to the world.
When the lady is more famous than the gentleman in a relationship, sometimes that can be hard. So you go out with your boyfriend and people know you and they don't know him, right? Is that hard for him?
No, and it's something that both he and my friends have had to get used to, the sort of, they're very good at taking cell phone pictures, and they're very good at, at stepping aside and being, but also stepping back in when it's time.
He doesn't mind it then?
No.
How does your father like him?
He likes him a lot. Yeah, he likes him a lot.
Well, there's no hedge on that.
No,
right?
no, not at all. I just can't believe you're getting me to talk about this.
Why?
I don't know. It's
you
private.
get famous as part of your life.
Well,
right?
it's a part of the life that is a little bit more private than the rest of it.
Do you read for other parts?
Yes, not very frequently because the window that we have is relatively finite. But yeah, I mean, I want to play all kinds of people.
Are you renewed for a fourth year?
Not officially, no, but I hope so.
You expect to be? I mean, you would think it's a hit.
I would hope so, yeah. It's not official until it's official, and I'm very superstitious
Where
about
do you
things.
shoot?
We shoot in Silver Cup Studios in Long Island City, Queens.
That famous Silver Cup sign that I drive over the bridge?
Exactly, that you see over the bridge. It's so beautiful.
It's not a bread company anymore, huh?
No, although it's enormous, and there are bread bakeries nearby, which is such an amazing smell in the morning. But no, it's a really cool studio space. We shot for one season in Steiner Studios in the Navy Yard in Brooklyn. But
You
we're
wouldn't
back.
remember this, but Silver Cup used to sponsor the Lone Ranger on the radio.
Really?
Silver Cup Bread presents Allison. We'll be back with our remaining moment. Not fascinating, huh? More with Allison Williams after this. We're back with our remaining moments with Allison Williams. We'll play a little game of If You Only Knew and some social media questions. But tell me about this letter you got from an Army vet.
So a couple of days ago, I was opening mail. Every once in a while, people write, and it's one of the happiest parts of my job is opening these letters. And he is a 22-year-old that was serving as a doctor, and he was hit with mortar, I think, from an explosion, and had to be sent back to the U.S. to rehabilitate. And he's now in a wheelchair. And he said that he's been really, really down lately, but that watching Girls and other comedies has really lifted his spirits, and it helps him take his mind off of what he's going through. And I just found it so moving. And he said in the letter, I'm really shy. I never usually write to people, but I just wanted you to know that what you do is helping me get through this. And it was such an amazing, it was just so kind of him to write it. And it sort of changed and reminded me that our job, if done right, can have that effect on people.
Did you write to him?
I did.
Okay, we have some social media questions.
All right.
Ryan James Neufeld on Facebook wants to know what your favorite moment has been on Girls with Lena.
Well, one that comes immediately to mind is in the third episode in the first season, I come back from a weird date with someone, or a non-date with someone, and she is dancing in her room, and I join her, and we start dancing together. And that was not only really fun to film, and it was kind of moving in some way, but it's also fun to watch, and it just feels like, I don't know, it's
special. Nice
to remember. Yeah, it feels special.
Joyful Maria on Instagram. Who are your major influences on screen?
I have always been a big Meryl Streep fan. I think she's incredibly talented. Daniel Day-Lewis, Kate Blanchett, I think, is amazing. There are so many people. Mary Tyler Moore, I love.
Great people.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Herbert Maceo Marengo, an important question. What's the worst pickup line a man has ever used?
It's a really good question. Probably something uncreative like, hey, do you come here a lot? Or like,
You come here a lot?
Yeah, you come here a lot?
I remember once a guy said, Mary, have you changed? And you say,
Oh, I'm
"You're
not Mary.
Oh, you changed your name. Stupid.
I
Anyway,
would appreciate that. That's creative.
any game of You Only Knew, we play this all the time. I just throw them out. Remember the first boy you ever kissed?
I do.
What was his name?
Jay.
Where was it?
In my house in Connecticut.
How old were you?
I was 17. No, I was 16. I was 16.
Your first kiss was 16?
Yeah.
What did Brian Williams keep you in an incubator?
I was scared. It's scary.
16?
Yeah.
In this age and time?
I know.
Whatever happened to Jay?
I don't know.
16, it could have been last year. You have a weird talent we don't know about.
Oh, man. I'm really good at assembling IKEA furniture.
Really?
Yes, very good. In fact, when I moved to Los Angeles before I got Girls, I almost considered putting together a business where I assembled people's furniture. I find it really gratifying.
Do you still have a place in L.A.?
No, I don't anymore.
Do you like L.A.?
I do.
Guilty pleasure.
Well, aside from having the palate of about a 7-year-old boy and ordering mostly off the kids' menu when I go places, I watch a ton of television. Not all of it's guilty, but watching as much as I do is really guilty.
You go in, you get the kids' hamburger?
Yeah.
Like?
There's popcorn and chocolate chip cookies over there that I ordered.
Really? Mm-hmm. If you weren't an actor, what would you be?
Maybe singer or...
You're a show business person.
Yeah.
It's hard to even think.
I know, it is hard.
I don't have an answer to that.
I know, yeah. I don't... I don't know. I'd be trying to be an actor
If you could play any other girl's character, which would you choose?
Oh my gosh. Well, he's a guy, but I would love to play Laird, our weird neighbor in our apartment. Only because I think he does such a good job with it, but it's a very fun character.
If you're on a desert island, what 3 things do you take with you?
Chapstick, sunblock, and a satellite phone.
Good.
Thank you.
Role model?
Some combination of my parents, probably.
What is it about your mother?
My mom is so smart. She's so intelligent. She's so grounded. She's one of those people that if someone is seated next to her at a meal, I know that at one point I'll look over and the other person's going to be close to tears. My mom's going to be rubbing her back, having just elicited some kind of major life realization or something.
What's something about Brian we don't know?
Oh, that you don't know. He kind of wears his heart on his sleeve. He loves dogs. He is a Jersey guy.
He's a Jersey guy?
He's a Jersey guy. He has a great voice.
Yeah.
He has a great singing voice. That's something you might not know about him.
How's his knee holding up?
It's holding up.
He got a new knee,
Yeah, he has
right?
a brand new one, brand new right knee. It's doing really well. His rehab seemed really difficult, but selfishly it meant that the 4 of us got to spend a lot of time together. So we liked that. It was the most time he's ever taken off in my life.
You're beautiful and talented.
Oh,
and great
so
meeting.
nice to meet you.
Regards
Thank you
home.
for having me.
Allison Williams, the star of Girls in its 3rd season on HBO. See you next time. Join me on at King's Things on Twitter.